Hey, it's Cashflow Mike, and in this week's episode of the Clear Path to Cash podcast, we're going to be talking about what clients actually pay you for, pay advisors for, right? So a business owner once asked me a question, well, it was several years ago now, that completely changed the way I think about advisory. He and I had been meeting for a little while, and I'd walk them through a fairly detailed financial review. Right? We talked about margins and cash flow, working capital, and a handful of other things that seemed important at the time. And when we finished, they closed their notebook, and then they asked me something I wasn't expecting. They said, Mike, if you owned this business, what would you do first? I still remember sitting there, at least for a second before I answered. And not because I didn't know the business. I knew it pretty well at that point in time. The question caught me because I suddenly realized that they weren't asking me to explain the financials anymore. There was a shift. They wanted my judgment. The meeting changed in a way, it changed everything about the way I approached advisory work. Up until then, I'd spent a lot of energy making sure people understood the numbers. But after that conversation, I started paying much more attention to helping people, make decisions, right? Those aren't the same thing, right? A few months ago, one of our members reminded me of that meeting. They were working with a contractor who came into the office convinced that they needed to start cutting expenses. And the owner already had some ideas about where they wanted to make reductions. And they were ready to move. Actually, that's surprising too, that a contractor is ready to start making cuts. And instead of just jumping into the expense report, the advisor spent just a little bit more time understanding why the owner felt like that. Hey, why do you feel like that? Tell me more. Using the Explorer. So as the conversation unfolded, they discovered something neither of them expected. The business wasn't struggling because overhead had gotten out of control. The pressure had started, months earlier when several jobs were priced below what they should have been. That realization completely changed the direction of the meeting. The owner stopped talking about layoffs and started talking about pricing. Nothing dramatic happened. There wasn't this big reveal. There was no confetti that fell from the sky, right? The conversation just simply became clearer. So later in the week, the advisor told me the client called back and they had already started making those changes. That phone call probably wouldn't have happened if the meeting had ended with another explanation of financial statements. It happened because somebody helped the owner make a decision. I think that's what business owners are really looking for when they hire advisors. Most of them have access to more information, more than they know what to do with. But when they're searching for something that they can't put their finger on, it's usually somebody who can help them sort through it without making the situation feel more complicated. That's a whole different kind of value. It's also the reason that I believe the profession is changing. Technology keeps getting better, at producing information for you, right? The advisor becomes more valuable every time they help a client turn that information into a decision that they can actually live with. That's the role we designed Clear Path to Cash to support. The software isn't trying to replace the advisor. It's there to help the advisor stay focused on the conversation instead of getting buried in the mechanics. When that happens, clients notice. The meetings are going to feel different. The whole follow-up that you do looks different, right? The relationship changes. So if you're curious about what that looks like inside our platform, spend some time in the demo. Click on it, explore the demo. It will walk you through the fix framework. You're going to find the burning issue. Use the tools to identify what's causing it to catch fire, and then execute, create an action, something your client can do to put the fire out. I want you to walk it through like you're preparing for a client meeting. And I think you'll see the difference pretty quickly. Because that moment, the one when you prepare for the client meeting, we know it. And the Clear Path to Cash was built for that moment.
Cash flow, Mike. Clear path to cash. Cash flow, Mike. No turning back. Cash flow, Mike. Straight through the dust. Cash flow, Mike. We trust. We trust. We trust. We trust.